For more than 25 years, the tropical island of Sri Lanka was racked by a civil war between the Sinhalese majority and the Tamil Tigers, a separatist movement based in the northeast. The conflict finally ended in May 2009, when government forces seized the last area controlled by the rebels. In the final stages of the war, concerns were raised about the fate of civilians caught up in the conflict zone, including children. People are now starting to return to their homes, but much remains to be done. I spoke to UNICEF's representative in Sri Lanka, Philippe Duamelle. I began by asking him how children had been affected by the conflict.
Sri Lanka is now at a turning point in a sense that the conflict ended in May 2009, and since November 2009, we've seen the government of Sri Lanka starting a big return process. It's a crucial moment because it's close to 300,000 people going back home, and the kind of assistance and the way this return program is going to be handled and supported will be absolutely crucial in the reconciliation process and in the peace process in Sri Lanka. Children have been affected by the conflict in multiple ways. If we look at the way the conflict has evolved since January 2008, we have seen multiple displacements of the population who were in the territory controlled by the Tamil Tigers. As the confrontation lines were moving, the population was moving away from that to end up on a very small strip of land in the northeast part of the country, where close to 300,000 people were concentrating. Just to give you an idea of the high concentration of population there, it's just like having 300,000 people in a piece of land as big as Central Park in New York. Every time there was such a movement, it was a traumatic event for the children. Not only because they have to move from the place they have been living in, but also because they have to leave things behind, and they see sufferings and traumatic events that no child should ever see in his or her life.
What is UNICEF doing on education, for example?
So UNICEF is actively working in Sri Lanka to make sure that children can go back to school, for instance. So in the places of return, UNICEF is also supporting schools to reopen, in doing some repair work, some refurbishments of schools, in supplying school furnitures and school supplies, as most of these schools have lost everything, not only the roof or the windows for many of them, but there is no school furnitures left in most of them. So we are providing those school furnitures and school supplies not only to the children, not only to the students, but also to the teachers, to make sure that teachers can start teaching again in better condition. And as we know, in all circumstances, education is absolutely crucial to help these children to resume their life and to find again some kind of normalcy into their life. In addition to that, UNICEF, within the framework of the child-friendly schools concept, UNICEF is also looking at, within the perimeter of the school, within the school compound, making sure that children have access to decent sanitation, that latrines, toilets are available, that water is available in the school as well, so that children can go back to school in decent conditions.
How is UNICEF supporting former child soldiers?
The conflict in Sri Lanka has unfortunately involved a great number of child soldiers. At the moment, as the conflict is over, about 560 children formerly associated with the LTT, former child soldiers as they are called sometimes, have been identified and are undergoing rehabilitation. So when the children come out of the rehabilitation center, the reintegration phase is also as important. And so UNICEF will also continue to support not only the rehabilitation of the children, but also their reinsertion into society. One aspect of that is a cricket program that UNICEF is developing in Sri Lanka in partnership with Cricket for Change, a UK-based charity. We're also working with the International Cricket Council, the ICC, and the Sri Lanka Cricket Board. and also in partnership with the government of Sri Lanka. So the idea is to train a group of cricket peers or peer leaders, young children who will be trained to organize cricket teams, organize cricket games within their communities, within their villages. And we receive this training in Colombo to start with. And then we'll go back to where they come from, whether they are former child soldiers still in rehabilitation centers, or whether they are other vulnerable children going back to their communities and organizing the youth in their communities to not only to play cricket, but the messages and the philosophy behind that is also to learn from the values attached to cricket, from the values attached to sport, on how to live together better. It will definitely have a big impact on not only on the reinsertion of some children who are particularly vulnerable, but also on the reconciliation process within their communities.
To find out more, visit www.unicef.org.uk/Sri Lanka. This is Andy Brown reporting for UNICEF UK.